You borrow, in theory, £50,000 from a bank. They type into your account £50,000. That's what they do. And you then go away and you spend £10,000 of that to buy a car. So you give the owner of the car some fresh air money that has been given to you, and he then puts the £10,000 in, or dollars, whatever it is, in his bank. Now, his bank could lend 10 times that on money that was fresh air, and it's still fresh air, but was fresh air when it was created. And this just shows you how much theoretical money, i.e. profits, that one single loan can create in the banking system. And there's another thing. You borrow this £50,000, $50,000, but you're not paying back that. You're paying back 50,000 plus interest. The interest is never created. Thus, there is never ever nearly enough money to pay back all the debt and all the interest on the debt that is outstanding at any point. Thus, people losing their homes, their jobs, their businesses, their land, their property, they're all built into the system on purpose. And what this has allowed to happen is for the banks, in exchange for fresh air created out of nothing credit, to steal the real wealth of the world. We'll give you nothing, or you're going to pay us to do it, and then you give us the real wealth of the world. And this has been going on century after century, and this is how the less than 1%, or major reason why the less than 1% now owns virtually half the wealth of the world. This is how they've done it. And so the financial system, and most of these financial journalists and economists, they don't bloody understand it. It's a simple structure you've got to look at, not all the bloody jargon and stuff that no one understands, including most of the people saying it. The financial system has been created on purpose as a means of control and dictatorship. And because it is built on nothing, fresh air, it's all about what they call in the markets, casinos, confidence, market confidence. So when you're confident, you spend more money, you borrow more money, you invest more money, in theory money. And when you lose confidence, you do the opposite. You stop spending, you stop investing, you stop all the things that happen during a boom, and suddenly you've got a recession. And one of the key things that creates, or the key thing that creates a recession, is the inability of people to raise or borrow what they call money. So we had, after 2008, what did they call it? The credit crunch. And so who decides how much money is in circulation? Whether there's an abundance of units of exchange in circulation, or whether there's a credit crunch? The banks. Because the vast, overwhelming majority of money comes into circulation at the start as a debt, the unit of exchange that allows human life to happen, and for choices to be made, and for lives to be lived, starts out its life as a debt. Why aren't governments creating money interest-free so it becomes a unit of exchange from the start and not a unit of debt? Because, I repeat, the same hidden hand that controls the banks controls the governments. And Abraham Lincoln issued interest-free money called greenbacks in the United States. Whatever happened to Abraham Lincoln? Not too long afterwards, he was no longer with us, because this creation of money out of nothing is absolutely fundamental to the control of the hidden hand. So it's a figment of our imagination, the financial system. And I've likened it many times to, you ever seen these cartoons where there's cartoon characters chasing each other on a big chase, and they run off the edge of a cliff. And for a while, because they haven't realized they've run off the edge of the cliff because they're concentrating on the chase, they keep going forward on fresh air. And then there comes a point where someone looks down and realizes there's no land under their feet anymore. They're in mid-air over a canyon. And what happens then? All gone. Now that's how the financial system works. What they do, because of course they also own the media, this hidden hand, and they certainly own the minds of so many that comment on the financial situation in the world, who have no clue really how it works. They build up what they call market confidence. And when that happens, there's a boom, and the banks lend loads of money. That's great. And then they create a boom, and people get into more debt because they've got this confidence, and they invest in the stock markets because they've got this confidence, stock market's going up. And then, having built that confidence up, they then start to, by any means that they choose, to destroy that confidence. Oh, there's a financial crisis, yeah. And that's what they're doing now. And what happens then is people look down and go, oh, it's fresh air. That happened in 2008. And what they do is they say, you're running on solid ground. It's all fantastic. It's all fantastic, all fantastic. And then they go, just have a look down. Oh, that's how it goes. They build up the confidence. People invest, put their money in stuff, and then they crash it, and they take that money and they take those resources. They take that real wealth from the population. And this is what we're seeing unfolding now. I'm not saying this massive global crash is going to come tomorrow or next week or next month, but it is coming. Why? Because it's in the plan to come as part of this ongoing manipulation to install the Hunger Games society. And it's funny, you have these different names for basically the same thing. Mike Lambert at the Shen Clinic just down the road from here on the Isle of Wight has done magnificently to get me back to the point where I can actually start working again after the state I've been in the last 2 weeks or so. And he points out that things like postnatal depression and ME are actually just names for adrenal burnout. Basically, stress, overwork of the body, overwork of the mind comes together to reach the point where the body ceases to function. And what the body is saying is, excuse me, over here, enough, no more, or else it's going to get seriously worse. And that's the wake-up call I've had in the last fortnight or more now, because I've just passed, that's what I'm going to talk about in the videocast this week, I've just passed, while I was ill, the 25th anniversary of when this journey consciously started for me. It started before that, without me realizing that it was a journey, but from the time that I did realize, hey, something's happening here, it's just past 25 years to the day. And it's a good time to kind of reassess, and the body, my body, has said it's that time. And I tell you, just a few days ago, I didn't think I'd be sitting here now doing this okay. And it's going to take a few months to get back to absolute health and absolute maximum strength. But what Mike Lambert's done with me in the last very short time is just miraculous, considering the state I was in. And it gives you pondering time when you're lying on your back looking at the ceiling or looking at the wall. And I guess that's appropriate given that this 25th anniversary has just passed. And the anniversary is of the day that I walked into the house of a psychic called Betty Shine in a village near Brighton, south coast of England. And my life changed. And what was said that day and where I was going to go from there has absolutely turned out to be the case. And it's been an extraordinary quarter of a century of challenge, of revelation, of awakened understanding to the nature of the very reality that we're experiencing, and awakening to the forces that really manipulate and direct events and happenings in this reality we call planet Earth. Before I went to Betty Shine, I had some extraordinary experiences in the year before. I was a presenter for BBC television. I was a national spokesman for the British Green Party. And I was getting on with my life. And then I started to feel in 1990, in fact through 1989 into 90, that when I was in a room alone, I wasn't alone. It was like there was a presence there which you couldn't see, but you could tangibly feel. And this went on, like I say, through 1989, when the Green Party had its first major success in Britain in the European elections. And although I should have been focusing more and more on green politics, given the success that the party was suddenly having, my mind was starting to move elsewhere because of these experiences. And it got more and more tangible to the point where one night in the first months of 1990, I was sitting on a bed in an empty hotel room called the Kensington Hilton near the BBC, because I was working there. And I remember looking out into the apparently empty room and saying, look, if there's something there, would you please contact me because you're driving me up the wall?